Ever wonder why certain British war films hit harder than the rest? They don't just show you soldiers fighting, they take you deep into the grit, the sweat, the heartache, and the raw truths of war. But here's the twist. Spielberg, the master himself, says these are the ones every American needs to watch. Why? Well, let's just say you might leave with a whole new perspective on war movies. Trust me, you won't look at these classics the same way again. The Dam Busters, 1955. Imagine a mission so dangerous, so audacious, it could change the course of a war. The Dam Busters is that story. Directed by Michael Anderson, it tells the tale of Operation Chastise, where British bombers took on the impossible, destroying Germany's heavily fortified dams during World War II. With nothing but innovative weaponry and sheer courage, they took on a challenge that seemed insurmountable. Spielberg has always admired how the film blends technical brilliance with human heroism. This isn't just about dropping bombs, it's about using intellect and courage to overcome the odds. The real draw of the Dam Busters is its authenticity. No flashy gimmicks, no Hollywood magic, just a stark, real portrayal of wartime ingenuity. The film doesn't glamorize the battle, but instead focuses on the meticulous planning, the pressure, and the tension of these daring young men as they faced what seemed like certain death. And when the bombs hit their targets, it wasn't just a victory, it was a testament to the power of the human mind and spirit in the face of destruction. Spielberg sees it as a war film that gets it right not by glorifying war, but by showing the grit and brilliance that can emerge in the most dire of circumstances. The Longest Day, 1962. D-Day is one of the most pivotal moments in history. It's a battle that reshaped the future. And The Longest Day takes you through it like no other film. Directed by Ken Anakin and Andrew Martin, this film offers a sweeping, multi-perspective look at the chaos, bravery, and sacrifice of the 6th of June, 1944. Spielberg admires the epic scale of The Longest Day and the way it presents the battle without taking sides, showing the Allied forces and the German soldiers with equal focus. The film's strength lies in its portrayal of D-Day from the ground level. Soldiers fighting in the sand, paratroopers stuck behind enemy lines, and civilians caught in the crossfire. With an ensemble cast including John Wayne, Richard Burton, and Sean Connery, the film moves from intense action to heartbreaking moments of human vulnerability. There's no glossing over the brutality of war here. Instead, we see the courage that emerged in the face of overwhelming adversity. Spielberg appreciates how the film conveys the sheer scale of the event, while still focusing on the individual stories of courage, fear, and sacrifice. It's a raw, gritty look at a defining moment in history that continues to resonate today. A Bridge Too Far, 1977. What happens when military strategy goes disastrously wrong? A Bridge Too Far brings the tragic story of Operation Market Garden to life, an audacious attempt by the Allies to end the war before winter. Directed by Richard Attenborough, the film follows the ambitious mission to seize key bridges across the Netherlands. The plan seemed perfect on paper, but in reality, it was a catastrophe. Spielberg calls this film a masterpiece for how it depicts the tragic reality of war. The story's power lies in its portrayal of military leaders and soldiers who pushed the limits of ambition, only to face overwhelming failure. With an all-star cast including Sean Connery, Michael Caine, and Robert Redford, the film expertly navigates the tension between hope and despair. It captures the heart of war, its unpredictability, and its harsh consequences. Spielberg admires how A Bridge Too Far doesn't just focus on the heroism, but shows the brutal reality of flawed strategy. As these soldiers march to what they believe is victory, they are met with defeat and loss. It's a sobering reminder that war is not always won on the battlefield, and that ambition without the right plan can be a deadly gamble. A Bridge Too Far tells a tale of boldness, but also of the crushing weight of failure. Where Eagles Dare, 1968. This is where British war films go full throttle with action and suspense. Where Eagles Dare is a heart-pounding World War II adventure that's part military operation, part high-stakes thriller, Directed by Brian G. Hutton, the film follows a group of British commandos on a mission to rescue a high-ranking American officer from a German fortress. The plot is tight, filled with twists and turns that keep you on the edge of your seat. But it's the performances from Richard Burton and Clint Eastwood that really sell it, two of the most iconic stars of the era, bringing their A-game to a story about deception, betrayal, and survival. Spielberg appreciates how Where Eagles Dare takes the usual war movie formula and turns it on its head. It's not about glorious battles. It's about outsmarting the enemy, pulling off impossible missions, and the gray areas of war where not everything is what it seems. What sets it apart is how it mixes intense action with a complex, almost spy thriller-like atmosphere. This isn't a film about battlefield glory. It's about brains over brawn and survival in the face of overwhelming odds. Spielberg admires how Where Eagles Dare combines the strategy of war with the thrill of espionage, making it one of the most exciting, unpredictable films in the genre. It's a wild ride that proves you don't need endless explosions to keep audiences hooked. Just a great story, a dangerous mission, and a couple of legends to lead the way. The Bridge on the River Kwai, 1957. When you think of British war films, The Bridge on the River Kwai has to be at the top of the list. Directed by David Lean, this epic tale of British POWs forced to build a bridge for their Japanese captors during World War II is both a psychological drama and a brutal war story. What makes it unforgettable? The conflict within the characters themselves. The film focuses on Colonel Nicholson, Alec Guinness, who, despite being a prisoner, becomes obsessed with building the perfect bridge, even if it serves the enemy. Spielberg has often cited this film as a model for how war films should be made using the battlefield, not just for physical conflict, but for the internal struggles of its characters. The movie explores themes of pride, duty, and the moral compromises soldiers make in the face of adversity. What really makes The Bridge on the River Kwai stand out, however, is its slow-building tension and the moral dilemma at its heart. Nicholson's obsession with the bridge becomes an allegory for the futility of war and the human cost of blind ambition. As the bridge nears completion, you can feel the inevitable tragedy coming, but it's impossible to look away. Spielberg admires how Lean balances personal conflict with the larger forces of war. It's a film that doesn't glorify war, but instead shows its devastating impact on the soul. It's a masterpiece not just of war cinema, but of storytelling itself, and Spielberg believes it's essential viewing for anyone who wants to understand the true cost of conflict. The Colditz Story, 1955. Escape. It's a word that fuels countless war stories, but in the Colditz Story, it's more than just a daring feat. It's a battle of wits, willpower, and survival. Set in the infamous German POW camp, Colditz Castle, this British classic, directed by Guy Hamilton, tells the true story of British officers trying to escape from what was believed to be the most secure prison of World War II. Spielberg holds The Colditz Story in high regard for its realistic portrayal of life in a POW camp and the unrelenting spirit of those who refuse to be broken. What sets it apart is its focus on the prisoners' ingenuity and determination. The officers of Colditz weren't just sitting ducks, they were strategizing, building escape tunnels, and outsmarting their captors at every turn. Spielberg admires how the film shows the camaraderie between the prisoners, who, despite being locked up in the worst conditions, never lose their sense of hope and their drive to escape. But it's not just about physical escape, it's a mental and emotional journey. The film delves into the human psyche under extreme pressure, showing the emotional toll of captivity and the lengths people will go to for their freedom. With sharp performances and a gripping story, The Colditz Story is a war film that doesn't rely on explosions or battles. It's a testament to the power of the human spirit and the incredible lengths to which these men went to regain their freedom. Spielberg admires how the film captures the quiet, yet extraordinary heroism of those who fight not just with weapons, but with their minds. The Battle of Britain, 1969. War films about air battles often focus on the technical feats and the heroism of pilots, but The Battle of Britain does something different. It turns the sky into a chessboard, where strategy and sacrifice play just as important a role as sheer bravery. Directed by Guy Hamilton, this film is a monumental retelling of the pivotal battle between the Royal Air Force and the German Luftwaffe in the summer of 1940. Spielberg praises this film for its breathtaking aerial combat sequences, but what really strikes him is how it captures the sheer desperation and urgency of the battle. The film features a sprawling ensemble cast, with stars like Michael Caine, Trevor Howard, and Laurence Olivier, each portraying key figures in the battle. Spielberg admires how the film doesn't just glorify the fight in the skies, but shows the immense pressure on the pilots, who were flying day after day, with little rest, and facing near certain death at any moment. The intensity of their commitment, combined with the unrelenting danger, creates a sense of tension that's palpable throughout the entire film. It's a sobering reminder that war is not only fought in the trenches, it's fought in the air, with lives hanging by a thread and the fate of nations at stake. What makes the Battle of Britain so compelling is its ability to humanize the story of warfare. It's not just about tactics or victories, it's about the men who lived it. Spielberg sees it as one of the best depictions of courage under fire, where every victory is earned with sacrifice, and every defeat carries the weight of the world. The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, 1943. This isn't your typical war film. The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp is one of the most unique and thought-provoking war films ever made. Directed by Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger, the movie follows the life of Major General Clive Wynne Candy, a British officer who becomes a symbol of the old-fashioned military mindset during the course of his long career. The film's scope is massive, spanning decades, and it's as much about the evolution of British society as it is about warfare. Spielberg admires the film for its intelligent commentary on the absurdity of war, the changing face of British values, and the internal conflict that arises when the old world collides with the new. The character of Colonel Blimp is the epitome of stubbornness, pride, and loyalty, but his flaws make him a fascinating, if tragic, figure. The movie presents war not as a glorified battle between good and evil, but as a messy, often misguided process where human lives are sacrificed in the name of duty, honor, and outdated ideals. What makes the film so special, however, is its ability to shift between personal drama and large-scale commentary on the absurdity of military tradition. The film also features groundbreaking technical achievements, especially in its use of color, making it a visual spectacle as well as a poignant story. Spielberg admires the way The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp doesn't just focus on the action of war, but on the emotional and psychological cost of being caught in the gears of military bureaucracy. It's a film that challenges conventional notions of heroism and paints war in shades of gray, not black and white. Paths of Glory, 1957. Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory is often hailed as one of the greatest anti-war films ever made, and Spielberg couldn't agree more. Set during World War I, the film stars Kirk Douglas as Colonel Dax, a French officer who defends 3 soldiers who are falsely accused of cowardice after a failed attack. The film's central theme is the tragic absurdity of war, highlighting how individuals are often sacrificed in the name of military bureaucracy. Spielberg admires how Kubrick, using an almost documentary-like style, condenses the immense scale of war into the personal struggles of a few key characters. The heart of the film lies in its exploration of the cruelty of the military system, where men are pushed to their limits by an impersonal machine that values rank over human life. Paths of Glory is brutal in its depiction of the inner workings of the military establishment, where those in power are far removed from the real horrors of the battlefield. What makes this film stand out, however, is the emotional weight behind every scene. Kirk Douglas's performance as Colonel Dax is iconic. He is a man who, despite being trapped within a flawed system, still manages to fight for justice, even if it costs him his career. The tension in the courtroom scenes, where the fate of the soldiers hangs in the balance, is agonizing, and the final sequence, where the soldiers face their tragic end, is as heartbreaking as it is inevitable. Spielberg praises Paths of Glory for its unflinching look at the inhumanity of war and the corrupting influence of authority, making it an essential watch for anyone looking to understand the true cost of conflict. The Great Escape, 1963. When it comes to daring escapes and defying the odds, The Great Escape stands as the ultimate classic. Directed by John Sturges, This British-American film dramatizes the true story of a group of Allied prisoners of war who plan a massive escape from a German POW camp during World War II. With a star-studded cast led by Steve McQueen, the film is a blend of intense action and sharp wit, making it a perfect balance of excitement and human drama. Spielberg admires The Great Escape, not only for its thrilling action sequences, but for the deeper story it tells about courage, survival, and resilience. What makes this film stand out is how it balances humor and tension. The prisoners, though under constant threat of execution, maintain a sense of hope and camaraderie, constantly outsmarting their captors with clever ingenuity. Spielberg finds this film's portrayal of the mental games between captor and captive fascinating. Instead of focusing solely on battle scenes, it shows the human ingenuity and persistence that are key to survival in such dire situations. The movie's iconic chase scene, in which McQueen famously jumps a fence on a motorcycle, is one of the most thrilling moments in cinema history, full of heart-pounding action, but also representing the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to be broken by their circumstances. The Great Escape is a war film that doesn't just focus on the horrors of conflict. It celebrates the human will to resist and overcome, even in the most hopeless of situations. It's a reminder that sometimes the greatest battles are fought not with weapons, but with courage and cunning. From the grit of the dam busters to the emotional weight of the bridge on the River Kwai, these British war films pack a punch that goes beyond the battlefield. Which one left you speechless? Drop your thoughts below. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more epic war stories that shape our understanding of history. Keep watching, there's always more to discover.